Hey, it's Mr. Shrum again, and I am going to go over section 1.3, sensory organs, today. And that will consist of the anatomy of the eye, the anatomy of the ear, and then issues that can develop with the eye or ear. So yeah, let's just get right into it. The anatomy of the eye. So the eye is a sensory organ. It converts light into little electrical impulses, and those electrical impulses are sent to your brain, and your brain interprets what you see. And this eye can be divided into structures on the outside or external. These are the things you can see. And then the internal structures of the eye are deep within the eye and not the things you can see with a human eye up close. So the external structures are what you can see when you look into the mirror. You have the iris, the cornea, the pupil, the sclera, and the conjunctiva. Conjunctiva. The iris right here, if you can see that, that's the colored part of your eye. And the colored part of your eye, the iris, regulates how much light enters your eye. Turn that sound off. So the iris changes the amount of light that enters your eye at any given time. And the color of your iris is determined by the amount and type of pigment. This is the result of, parents' genes mixing, and that determines whether your eye colors are of the dominant variety or the recessive. The cornea is the dome on the outer surface of the eye. It's the external portion of your eye's focusing system. So while your iris regulates the amount of light, your cornea focuses your eye on whatever you're trying to see. The pupil, everybody knows the pupil. It's that black, round opening of the iris. The iris adjusts how much light enters the eye, and that is done by dilating and constricting the pupil. So dilating would be where your pupil gets big and most of your eye looks like a big black dot. And when your pupil is constricted, it's when your black pupil narrows into a tiny black dot. The sclera, as you can see right here, that's the white covering on your eye, and that is a protective layer. It's composed of very tough fibrous tissue, and it extends from the front of your eye all the way to the back. So this is all sclera, that outer white layer. The conjunctiva is a thin membrane that lines the inner portion of the eyelid and the sclera. The conjunctiva does not cover the cornea. So it's a thin membrane. It lines the inner part where the eyelids meet the sclera, but not here, where there's no eyelid. No need, really. So that's all of the external structures. And then on the inside of your eye, there are things behind that iris. And these consist of the lens, the retina, the vitreous gel, the macula, the fovea, and the optic nerve. And you can see that all labeled here. The lens is located behind the iris, and it's a clear disc that helps focus light onto your retina. So right here, you see that disc? Helps focus light onto the retina. And your retina right here, right here, is comprised of light sensing cells that cover the back of your eye. And this retina converts that light into the electrical impulses we were talking about. So light managed by the iris, how much light gets in. The retina takes that light and converts it into electrical impulses. Most of your eye on the inside is made up of this clear gel called vitreous gel. You see that? The kind of orangish part. It's all just jelly. Like, kind of weird to think about. But yeah, most of your eye is gel. Then we have the macula. Right here, the macula. Small, extra sensitive spot at the center portion of the retina. It is responsible for your central vision, and it also contains the fovea. So macula, very sensitive spot, responsible for your central vision. And within that lies the fovea, a small depression at the very center of the macula. And it sharpens your vision. So the macula is responsible for your central vision, and the fovea sharpens the vision. Fovea. Think of focus. Fovea, focus, sharper image. And then lastly, the optic nerve transports the electrical impulses from the retina to the brain itself. And it's a bundle of 1 million nerves, just about. So all of these nerves are twisted up into this optic nerve, and that transports the electrical impulses all the way to your brain. In order for you to be able to see, the structures of the eye all work together. They take in light, they manage how much light comes in, they focus the light into the retina takes that light, changes it into electrical impulses, and then sends it through the optic nerve to your brain. And then your brain interprets what's going on and interprets how you see the world around you. So very cool structure, the eye. I enjoy learning about the eye. But issues can also appear with the eye, unfortunately. They're so small and delicate, and they give you sight. They allow you to see. But when problems do occur, you kind of get a sense for how important sight can be and how much we rely on sight. In this lesson, you will learn about 3 problems associated with the eye. Conjunctivitis, which is pretty common, I'd say. Cataracts, also common when you get older. And then retinal detachment, that is less common, and we'll look at why. But conjunctivitis, also known as pink eye, is when the conjunctiva is infected by a virus or bacteria. Now remember, the conjunctiva is that thin membrane that lines the inner portion of the eyelid in the sclera. So just underneath your eyelid, on either side of your eye, is lined with that conjunctiva. And when that gets infected, the blood vessels of the eye become inflamed, and it's easier to see them. So all that blood becomes easier to see in your eye, and that's what makes it appear pink. It's just the inflammation of your blood vessels. Now, pink eye is very contagious. So if you see anybody with pink eye, keep your distance. It's kind of like COVID, just keep your distance, wash your hands. And if you notice any of these symptoms in yourself, I would suggest going to your doctor. If you have redness in one or both eyes, itchiness, a gritty feeling, so like, well, the next thing says a crust that develops on the eyelid overnight, which makes it difficult to open your eye. If you've ever gone to sleep and then like woken up with this weird crusty thing over your eye and you can like not get up and open your eye, that's a scary feeling, especially if you're like half asleep. Yeah, if that happens to you, that's a big red flag that you may have pink eye. Here are some of the risk factors coming into contact with someone who has pink eye. Yeah, so that's the most common. If you see someone with pink eye and you touch what they're touching with their eye, that's a big no-no. Coming into contact with something you are allergic to, that's another common one. If you're allergic to cats or some type of plant, weed in the air, that can inflame your eyes. Wearing contact lenses for long periods of time. So if you're the type of person that wears contact lenses and falls asleep and keeps them in overnight for several days in a row, that can irritate your eye and lead to conjunctivitis as well. So if you do wear contact lenses, be careful. Be sure to take them out occasionally and wash them. Treatment for pink eye, if it's caused by bacteria, a doctor will prescribe an antibiotic, eye drop or ointment. And that is specifically targeted to kill the bacteria in your conjunctiva, the little eyelid part of your eyes. But if it, oh, excuse me, if it's a virus, you kind of just have to deal with it and manage the symptoms, and it will eventually go away on its own. And if it's caused by an allergy, the doctor can also give you a special kind of eye drop that will help alleviate the allergy reaction. And prevention is the best method. Don't touch your eyes with your hands around people. Frequently and thoroughly washing your hands, always a good idea. Pillowcases, I would suggest this just in general, not just to avoid conjunctivitis, but washing your pillowcases can lead to clearer skin and all types of benefits. And not sharing eye makeup or eye care items. So really this just boils down to you not touching your eye around people. So good advice there. Next issue that can develop, cataracts. The lens is the clear disc located behind the iris, remember? And cataracts are cloudy spots that develop on this lens. If you have a dog, you may notice their eyes get cloudy when they're older, or cats. Similar thing that happens in humans, that little lens gets cloudy. Your vision may be blurred. At night, it may become very hard to see. If you see halos around lights, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's if there's a light And then around it, you see this light ring, like a ring of light around the light itself. That may be a symptom of cataracts. One eye that experiences double vision. So if you close your eye and you see double out of it, that may be a cataract issue. And if you can't read at night, cataracts may cause that as well. So what makes it risky? What leads to cataracts? Aging. You can't really avoid getting older. Diabetes. If you have type 1 diabetes, you can't really get around that. But type 2 diabetes is how you acquire it yourself. Staying away from high sugary foods. Don't overindulge in sugar. Alcohol abuse. If you drink alcohol, limiting that alcohol use can reduce the risk of cataracts. Excessive exposure to sunlight. So if you live in a sunny region or it's the summer, I always recommend to people wear sunglasses, especially when you're driving or if you're out and about around concrete or things that are reflecting light off of it as well. That can hurt your eyes. Obesity, high blood pressure, and smoking. So these are things that can negatively affect your health in general. And if you're not as healthy as you possibly can be, this is when other health issues can develop. But there is treatment for cataracts, fortunately. It's generally safe, pretty effective, and that is cataract surgery. The doctor will remove the old clouded lens and replace it with this artificial lens. And this artificial lens is known as an intraocular lens. And it will stay in your eye for the rest of your life. Prevention. Research hasn't proven any behaviors that help to prevent or slow cataracts. They hypothesize, so they think the following may help. Regular eye examinations. Just avoid smoking if you can. It's not a great habit to start. Reduce alcohol use if you drink at all. Just ease up on the drinking. Wear sunglasses when outdoors. Maintain a healthy weight. Eat a diet full of fruits and vegetables. So get your eyes checked out. Don't indulge in these less than healthy behavioral tendencies. Wear sunglasses and eat a relatively healthy diet and try not to be too overweight, if you know what I mean. It's just better for your health in general. Now, the last eye issue is retinal detachment. And this is I don't like to talk about this one because I just imagine my eye getting like pulled out of its socket or something. But that's when the retina is pulled away from the layer of blood vessels. And if it's pulled away from blood vessels, it's getting less oxygen and nourishment to the retina. And so if this is a medical emergency and not treated quickly, the individual can suffer permanent vision loss. Here are some warning signs. If suddenly your field of vision is full of spots, hairs, or strings that seem to float, if you've ever looked at the sun or looked near the sun and then looked away to a darker spot, and you see kind of like this bluish dark spots in your eye, if that happens just randomly, um, that's not good. Like if you're just in your house and then your eyes start having these weird spots, that can be a sign. Instantaneous bursts of light, if you just see light just coming into your eye just randomly, and then a shadow over a portion of your vision that continues to grow as the detachment progresses. So if your eye just stops working in any way, that's a big warning sign of retinal detachment. Risk factors. So this is what usually happens with people who have retinal detachment. People older than 40 tend to be more open to this type of issue. A family history. So if your parents or grandparents ever had an issue like this, that increases your chances. Extreme nearsightedness. So if you can only see very up close, that is a risk factor. Previous eye injury or trauma. If you've had an injury in the past or suffered some type of physical trauma, that may lead to further damage like this, retinal detachment. Treating this detachment, surgery is required, and there are a couple options depending on the severity or how bad the detachment is. Photocoagulation, that's when a surgeon uses a laser beam to weld the retina to the tissue. So it's going to stick them together with this laser beam. Cryopexy, that's when a surgeon uses a freezing probe. So cryo means ice, freezing, cold, cryopexy. So this uses a laser. This uses very cold. This uses heat. This uses cold to stick them together. The freezing probe it uses it directly on the eye over the tear where the retinal detached, and then it freezes the affected area, and that area scars, and that scar heals and attaches the retina back to the tissue. So we have laser, then we have freezing probe, now we have air, pneumatic retinopexy. Pneumatic means air, gas. So a surgeon injects a bubble of air or gas into the vitreous. That's the gel-like substance within the eye. So they inject a bubble. That bubble floats against the tear and seals it to the underlying tissue. We have lasers, freezing, and then air. Bubble of air to seal the tear. And then we have scleral buckling. A surgeon sews a piece of silicone rubber to the sclera, the white part of your eye. And when they sew this piece of silicone, that indents the wall of the eye and reduces the pressure caused by the vitreous pulling on the retina. So with those four options, depending on how bad the retinal detachment is, they will pursue one of these options. How do you prevent it? There's no way to prevent a retinal detachment, but recognizing the warning signs can help you save the vision from permanent damage. And that's the 3 issues that may develop with the eye that we talked about today. So I hope that helped. Hopefully you know more about your eye and the things that could possibly go wrong, but hopefully won't. And I'll stop the video here, and then I'll pick it up for the rest of 1.3 later. But yeah, I hope this helps. Thank you, and see you later.